I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ, 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 Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Apparently I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. It is Wednesday. Normally we record on Tuesday, but Lily had 1,000 things to do. She's so busy. And I, of course, had a very important fantasy football draft. I was at this fantasy football draft yesterday, and a guy's on the phone. He's talking to, like, a client or his work, or I don't know who. And he goes, you know what, I'm at a fantasy football draft, so I'm going to have to call you back. Is there a worse excuse for getting off the phone than I'm at a fantasy football draft? You might as well just say, hey, I'm a gay nerd, and I can't possibly speak to you any longer. I can't even imagine what the person on the other end of the phone is thinking at that point. Oh, you would like to talk to me a little longer, but unfortunately you have to go jerk off in a room full of dickwads picking fake football players. Fantastic. Well, I can see where I rank on your priority scale. By all means, let me go. And do me a favor, if you could, have somebody draft this phone number from you so you don't have it anymore, so you can never call me back. Because God forbid I ever attempt to speak to you again when you blow me off for something other. What? You have a discussion with your imaginary friend from childhood? Well, of course, I'll call you back. There is no worse excuse for getting off the phone. I'm at a fantasy football draft. Let me give you a call back. The only thing worse would have been like if it was his wife or his kid or somebody like that. If you drop that, then you could actually put her on speaker and hear her eyes roll in her head. And I don't know what that sounds like, but I know what this sounds like. That's my teeth. I was doing that beforehand because you have to put the microphone on and do like a little sound check. My roadies come in, they strum my guitars, they hit my drum, and bring, bring, bring. Apparently I have all of these instruments here, and they all sound just like that. How horrible is that? Bring, bring, bring. That's the worst guitar ever. Would you ever pay to hear that guitar? I don't think you would. But in the soundtrack, I chattered my teeth. I almost said a teeth tattering. I did a teeth chattering. And Lily was stunned by how loud my teeth are. Because they're loud, friends. That's my teeth. All right, they're strong. I may have just chipped some enamel off my teeth. I'm not going to lie to you folks. So it is good to be here. And by the way, there you go. Remember I said in a previous episode, if I ever say it is good to be here, that means I have nothing to talk about or nothing to say. I said, if you see me on stage, that is a things have gone terribly wrong. That's a verbal placeholder. Mark it down, folks. It's a drinking game. Whenever I say it's good to be here, knock a shot back. You will be loaded in 18 minutes this week. Because it is good to be here. I don't know what to do with myself, folks. My wife is gone. My wife is still gone. And not gone in the way you think she's gone. I know if you listen to this show, you're probably waiting for the show where, his wife is gone. But no, she's gone for work. Like, she's been gone for 2 weeks. But she comes home tonight. Ha-ha, I'm very excited. And it's going to be... And you're excited, too, for some weird reason? That seems odd. People want you on mic. It's funny. People write me all the time. They're like, put Lily on mic. And they don't realize it's not me keeping Lily off mic. Lily doesn't want to be on mic. She's loud enough without a goddamn microphone. But people always write me, you need to get a mic for some guy. This is my favorite one this week. You need to get a mic for your girlfriend. That's my favorite one. And also, here's my other favorite one. Hey, that guy that's laughing is kind of annoying because I know when to laugh. I don't need to be told when to laugh. So some people think you're a dude, and some people think we're dating. So, I mean, it's a coin flip at this point. God knows. Put your girlfriend on mic. Give your girlfriend a microphone. It was like PS, too. Who writes PS ever in this day and age? What are you, 7? PS. Give your girlfriend a microphone. What does PS even mean? Postscript, right? Yeah, it means postscript. She's nodding. Her nodding is not as loud as my teeth. Can't get over my teeth, folks. I do that and Karen hates it. Karen hates it so much. We'll be in the car and I'll just be the... She's like, what are you doing? Stop. It's because I have ADD of the jaw. I do. I have a specific attention deficit disorder in my mouth. That's it. It's like I'll be chewing one thing and then I go, I got to chew something else immediately. My teeth are very impatient. Wow. All right. This is a lot of nothing. So, yeah. So that's Lily and I went to Lily's burlesque show Sunday, and I went with David, her husband, and we showed up. And before we left, because again, Karen's gone, man, and I got nothing to do. And I wish it seemed like in theory I would have a great time. Like I'm like, oh, cool. Karen's going on 2 weeks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, and I did nothing. I sat around ruining the day my wife left. That's it. Because she's my best friend, and she's the person I do everything with. You know, we go to the movies, we go out, we do this. Even if I'm home just watching TV, it's with her or whatever. And I'm not good alone. I mean, I'm good alone. I mean, it's not like, you know, anything horrible happens, but you know, to do things, I need somebody to ride shotgun with. I need a wingman. I need a wife. I need a wife, folks. And mine is gone. But she's back. She's back tonight. I'm picking her up at the airport and then having sex with her in a parking garage close by. We did that one time. We did that. There's a hotel right there, and there's a parking garage. We went to the top of the parking garage because you can see the planes landing and coming in, and did some damage up there in view of the planes. It was fun. I don't think that's going to happen tonight. That's my guess. I'm guessing it won't. Although I will probably, you know, just for old time's sake, pull into that parking garage and then have her go home. She hasn't been home in 2 weeks. The last thing she wants to do is get off a 6-hour flight from Philadelphia and get worked in a parking lot. But me, I don't, you know, I'm just sitting here. Literally, it's like my dick is at the starting line. I mean, I'm just like, all right, waiting for the gun to go off. So the gun can go off. But I'm picking her up tonight, so I'm excited about that. And I was talking to her, and she forgot she was on East Coast time, and she's like, you should get to the airport at 6:30. I said, I thought your flight was in at 9:30. She's like, oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm at 9:30. I'm like, I'll get there at 6:30. I don't care. Put up one of those signs and just hold it. It says, you know, Mike's wife. See if anybody else responds to that. What if anybody did? That'd be great. Some other chick is just like, hi, I'm Mike's wife. Well, then let's go to a parking lot. Because I'm going to show you the planes landing. If you can keep your eyes open long enough. All right, so I went to the burlesque show Sunday night. I went to that extravaganza. And by went to the burlesque show, I mean I went there. Doesn't necessarily mean I got in, and here's why. Before we left, I called David, and I said, hey, where is this thing tonight? And he said, it's at the Bordello. I go, well, is there a dress code? Is it fancy schmancy or whatever? Because I go to Lily's show on Monday nights, and there's no dress code. It's like, you know, it's summer, so people wear what they wear. And it's dark. It's a dark club. And nobody cares. And the women are naked anyway. Who fucking cares what I wear? Nobody's looking at me. I could walk in a fucking chicken costume. Everybody's like, hey, look at that chick. Nobody cares. Although I guess if I'm wearing a chicken costume and say, hey, look at that chick, they could be talking about me. So, but so I said to David, I go, what is it? He goes, I know, typical nightclub. And I go, well, you know what? I'll put on some jeans. Because I was wearing board shorts, like 3/4 board shorts. I go, I'll throw on a pair of long pants. And then I was working at the house and I was doing some stuff. And by working, I mean I was doing nothing. And then it came time to go pick up David. And then I split. I went and picked him up. And we get there and we're driving. We're going all over. And it dawns on me, I didn't put on any long pants. I'm wearing the 3/4 board shorts. But I'm like, who cares? It's just, you know, I'm sure it won't be a problem. And we get down to downtown Los Angeles, and we park, and we walk to the door, and the bouncer stops me and goes, I don't suppose you have any pants in the car, do you? Which is, he's being nice. I understand what he's doing. It's ludicrous. Nobody has pants in their car. I don't think. Who often thinks, I mean, you know, that's someone who's prone to accidents, I would think. If you're like, I always carry a spare pair of pants. I've always got spare slacks somewhere in my car. That's how I like to do it. Just in case something crazy happens, I like to have another pair of trousers to slip into. I don't. So I go, unfortunately, no. And he goes, you know, and he actually, this is funny, he actually looks over my shoulder, like one of those things where you look around, like if you're telling somebody a secret, like, psst, hey, buddy, and you look around. Well, he actually did that. He like looked over my shoulder and looked around. And he goes, well, the owner doesn't really like people wearing shorts. And he was about to say, but I'll let you in anyway. But if he comes, he's probably going to ask you to leave. But he didn't get any of that out because the 5-year-old in the board shorts went, fine, I'll leave. That was me. But not in a, like, I wasn't that pissy about it because I wasn't mad at him. It wasn't anything to do with him. It was me. I was mad at me because I had asked the question before I left my house. Should I put on some long pants like a big boy? Yes, you should put on big pants like a big pants like a leg boy. Long pants like a big boy. And and I didn't change it. I knew it. It was like the whole time I was dreading going there. I'm like, what if this is the one place that won't allow shorts at the fucking strip club show? And sure enough, yeah, it should be. It would have been. They probably would have let me wear shorts. The illusion of class brought by burlesque was what led to me having to wear long pants. So this guy, and he was very friendly and very nice about it, but I was, of course, up my own ass, and I just go, no, that's fine. Look, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I'll take off. He's like, are you sure? Because, I mean, it's just a matter of, the owners, it's their policy. It's not ours, really. And I go, that's okay. I'll split. And David is sitting there slack-jawed because he knows the guy was going to give us a break and let us in. But, of course, I turned into a child, and I immediately stomped my feet. I'm like, no, I don't want to go in if I can't go in without getting talked to because I'm a fucking baby. And then we walked halfway down the block, and I looked at David, and I go, hey, man, I'm really sorry. And he goes, that's okay, but, I just didn't want to get in, when you get in that mode, like, I didn't even want to talk to you. And I go, I understand, and I'm so sorry about that. He goes, he probably would have let us in. I go, yeah, in retrospect, I think that probably would have happened. I think he would have probably let us in. But, when I think about it, do I really want to go into a place like that? And but yeah, I do. I wanted to, and I should have gone, and but I didn't. So that was my Sunday. Because I'm lost. Not my wife. My wife would have been there. She would have just fucking snapped her fingers down and said, "Okay, sorry." But she wasn't there to keep me in control, so I was able to fly off the handle and be an idiot. But and so I looked at David. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. And he's like, that's cool. And it's just something I got to work on, and I know I got to work on that, whatever. But it would have stopped there. It would have stopped there with me being an idiot and apologies all around, and then David and I would have gotten in the car and then gone home. Until David's phone rang, and it was Lily. And Lily's in the, plays with her feathers on and her ridiculous rhinestones and her, puppy dolls and whatever else she's got to do for her act. And she calls him, she's like, where are you guys? And David's like, you know what, Mike is wearing shorts and they wouldn't let him in the door. And David is on a cell phone on a Bluetooth. And I still heard, what? Burst. I don't know if it went from his Bluetooth ear out his other ear, but this shriek of what? And David's like, don't worry, it's no big deal. It's no big. And I hear Lily go, that's fucking bullshit. That's unbelievable. I can't believe it. And she's screaming, and I can hear her through his Bluetooth. And he hangs up the phone, and he goes, yeah, I think she's losing it right now, probably. I go, why? The guy was nice. And he goes, doesn't matter. She's decided that this is wrong, and she's going to, I guess, fight for you. And I go, she doesn't have to. I don't mind. It's my fault. He's like, yeah, there's really no telling her that at this point because she's just as insane as you are. And I'm like, okay, well, so what's going to happen? Here's what's going to happen. As we're talking, Lily screeches up in her car, hits the brakes. This is fucking bullshit. I'm out of here. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I told them I'm not dancing in there if they were not going to let you in. I can't believe it. And then, unbelievably, other things have happened that I can't talk about right now because if I say them, then someone's going to know about them and then it's going to be a problem. But Lily had other problems. Let's put it this way. There were much larger problems for Lily, but she decided to make my shorts the focal point of why she walked out the door.
The straw.
It was the fuse.
It was the straw.
It was the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, good. If I can use that cliche on my podcast. But Lily was furious about 9 other things, and then they wouldn't let me in with the shorts, and that was... So, but that's the problem, though. She then went to the bouncer and blew-dried the bouncer in front of everybody. What do you mean you can't let him in? I can't believe it. There's no dress code here. Even though he was really nice to me, but Lily freaked out on him and then piled into her car. And let me tell you something. There is nothing funnier than a burlesque dancer angry who's in full costume. She screeches up in her car... And she leans out the window, and she's furious, and I just want to laugh in her face because she looks like Dee Snider. Just her fucking hair is teased out the fucking window, and she's got makeup on makeup on makeup. She's got just like a rainbow face. She just, oh my God. It looks like she had like literally the rainbow eye. It looks like a leprechaun shit on her head. I mean, it's like this rainbow... just piles and piles of makeup and hair and feathers and poodles and she's yelling out the window and I'm just like, Well, apparently, there's only one thing I can say right here. We're not going to take it. No, we ain't going to take it. Because Dee Snider is furious about my shorts. It was crazy. So I felt bad enough, and now I feel horrible that she's cut these ties in the burlesque world. But then I have to admit I was cheered up by the fact that, she's Clarabelled out and screaming out the window. I mean, it's just like, it was like having a fight with a clown, literally. Like if you were to go to the circus and step on a clown's foot on accident. And by the way, that happens all the time because they've got like size 48 feet. So when you walk into the arena, you're stepping on a clown foot. And you remember Stepping on a Clown Foot? That was a Van Morrison album in 1979. And Stepping on a Clown Foot, one of my favorites. But yeah, it was like going jaw to jaw with a clown, where she's just screaming out the window and furious, and she's so angry, and it's just hard to take her seriously, because it looks like Ace Frehley is yelling at me. But yeah, so I'm responsible for her cutting ties with the burlesque world on Sunday. And all because I didn't put on big boy pants. Because I'm a fucking idiot. I knew it, and I left my house. Change your pants. Put on big boy pants. You're going to a nightclub. And this is coming from the guy who hates people who wear sandals. And you know what? I'll bet you there are people with sandals in that club. And that to me is the word. If you're a man, put on some goddamn socks. Cover your feet. You're a grown man. I hate it. I can't stand it. I don't understand the sandals. I saw a guy at a restaurant the other day. This is disgusting. He had sandals on, and he was sitting at the table, and he kicked them off and like tucked his feet up under his chair like a lady would. I was just gonna slam his head in his soup. I was so fucking disgusted by him. I was like, dude, come on. It's bad enough you're wearing sandals. There's still that thin layer of Birkenstock protection from you in society. But when you kick them off, then you're just going straight up Woodstock on everybody, and that's not cool, dude. It's 2008. Hippies are out. Out! Don't be a hippie, a filthy hippie. Put your shoes on. Put on some shoes. I miss my wife. She's gone. She's calling me from Philadelphia and all these different places, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm doing nothing. Still taping your Oprahs. Still making sure all that's there for you when you come home. Can we watch all the Mad Men's when you come home? I'm lost. All right, so. Oh, you know what? We had an incident before she left. Before I went to watch the UFC over at my buddy Paul Gilmartin's house, and then I came back to my house and she was in bed, so I came in to tuck her in, and I came in to say goodnight, and I put my I went to give her a kiss. She was in bed, so I laid down. And I put my hand on her face, and I kissed her, and she looks at me. She wheels her head real fast. She goes, where were you? I said, I went to Paul's. I went to watch the fight. I went to watch the fight. She goes, what were you doing really? I'm like, what are you talking about? I went to Paul's. And she kind of starts laughing, and I go, what? And she goes, what's on your hands? I go, what are you talking about? She goes, and she got real quiet. It's funny. We're the only people in the room, but she said it quietly. Like, I don't know if she was going to offend somebody or whatever. She goes, you have stripper pussy hands. I go, what are you talking about? She goes, your hands. She goes, they smell like a stripper. And I'm like, what are you? You're insane. I was at Paul's at the fight. I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, well, smell your hands. So I smell my hands, and they smelled like candy because Paul and I were eating red licorice. Like red licorice out in the tub, and she said that it smelled like strippers. Because if you ever go to a strip club, because Karen and I we've gone to a strip club before, and the strippers that's what strippers smell like. They smell like candy. They do it on purpose. They have some sort of like body spray, and that's the funny part is I brought Karen to a strip club, and she's like, she was like, all right, maybe I'll go. So she went, and it's funny, you go to a strip club with a chick, and then all the strippers immediately come over, which is great. But even better, it's great in theory, except all they want to do is talk to the chick. Like, they want nothing to do with you, which is, I guess, fine, because, I don't really, the last thing I want to do is be juggling strippers in front of my wife. But the strippers come over, and they're like, hey, hi, how are you? And I'm like, hey, it's my wife's first time. Well, that's all they need to hear, because then immediately, like, there's just, like, this stripper dog pile on top of my wife. And she's just looking at me like, Michael, And And she, they're all friendly and nice, and then they go off and they do whatever they're gonna do, and then Karen's like, they smell like candy, and I'm like, yeah, that's like their thing. So then whenever the strippers would come over, it'd be like, hey, you want to dance? And Karen would be like, what is that? What do you smell like? What is that spray? And it's some stuff you can get at the Hustler store, like it's like a body spray, but it smells like cake or something. I don't know what the hell it was called. But then we had to go, of course. Then Karen's like, "Well, let's go get that stuff from the stripper from the Hustler Club because I like it." And but then we're still at the strip club. Karen goes into the restroom, and then she comes out with this weird face, like just like, because Karen, she's been around and stuff. She knows what's going on, but still, if she sees something weird, she's just like, "What the hell?" So she comes out and she's like, "All right, you got to watch these next two girls that come out of the bathroom." I'm like, "What's going on?" She's like, and then these two strippers come out. She goes, "They were in there making out." Just like these two strippers were in there making out. And they had a vodka bottle they had hidden in the ceiling. They had reached up and gotten vodka out of the ceiling and offered Karen a cap, like a shot. And Karen did a shot of vodka with these two strippers. And then the two strippers started making out. And she said that the vibe was there. Like if Karen wanted to, she could kind of jump in if she wanted. And Karen's just like, yeah, I'm going to wash my hands and take off. Thanks for the vodka. And she's just like, this is the weirdest place. And I'm like, yes, it is. Because I had told her, too, before we went in the strip club, I go, look, nobody touches anybody here. I go, that's the deal. It's like hands off. The second, you have to basically, guys sit there and the stripper does whatever they want. And if a guy moves an arm, a giant Latino guy will come over and punch him in the head. Like, it's like you don't even move. And so that's fine. And then the strippers come over and they're grabbing my wife and they're jumping on her and they're doing like they're very handsy with my wife. My wife's just like, I thought there no touching. Wasn't there no touching in this place? And I'm just sitting there going, yeah, I didn't think there was. This seems crazy. But they loved her to the point they loved my wife so much. There were other women there, like other girls, like who obviously were there for that reason. And they were upset that like my wife was getting all the attention from the strippers because I'm not kidding you, we had 3 strippers at our table who were like talking to Karen and like stroking her hair and like they're like hitting on her like in a weird like, hey, let's go out sometime. Like, you seem pretty nice. My name's Phyllis. Like they even dropped all pretense of cinnamon and rodeo at that point. Now they're like giving their real name to my wife. And they're having a chat. And Karen is so cute because she works for a hair care company. She works in the corporate office, and then they have hair shows. So Karen is like, "Hey, do you want to be a hair model?" Like, I told you she asked the people at the Greek theater that. She asked the strippers that. And I got to be honest, I wasn't on board with the Greek theater people, but I am all for the strippers coming to the hair show. Let's get them involved. Let's hide some vodka in the ceiling of the hair show, and let's do it. That sounds fantastic. So then I got my wife a dance. Like I was going to get my wife a dance, and Karen's just like, don't do that. But I didn't care. And I paid for a lap dance for Karen. And Karen's just like, what are you doing? I said, come on, it'll be fun or whatever. And it was so funny because not back in the crazy champagne room, but just in a regular side booth, wherever, I guess where everybody could see. So I could see, basically. That was what I wanted. Because I couldn't, you can't, whatever. I couldn't go back in the champagne room. You can't do couples back there. I asked. Anyway, so I get this, and Karen, this stripper, like, takes Karen, by the hand, and she's all excited, and Karen's just like, "Ulp." Like, you ever seen a cartoon or in a comic book when someone's, like, going, "Ulp," and they're, like, swallowing hard? That's what Karen's doing. And Karen sits down, and this woman starts doing the crazy lap dance stuff on Karen. And again, pretty handsy, and the best part of it is like, all I see is Karen's legs and the strippers between them, and she's grinding on Karen, and that's all I can see. And then when she would shimmy down enough, I would see Karen's face, and she was just like, Michael. It was like, you know what? I think it was probably like what happens when parents have to give their kid their first haircut at a barbershop. And you have to turn the kid loose and trust the salon person. And you see your baby there sitting in the chair and they're getting their hair cut or they're getting, ground upon by a stripper. And they're making that face that says, I trusted you. Man, I trusted you. What are you doing? And then they start to cry. But Karen didn't cry. She lived through it. But it was so great because it was like Karen was on a carnival ride. Like it would just be like stripper, 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 shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Karen's face just like, oh my God, what's happening? And I loved it, man. I thought it was hysterical. I loved every second of it. And Karen's just kind of like, And eventually, she was sitting in a red velvet booth, and eventually I couldn't see her face because she turned so red, she just blended in with the booth. All I saw were glasses and black hair. That was it. And the stripper's doing her thing, and the stripper then like leans in hard on Karen, and she's got her arms around her neck, and then Karen's like actively looking for me to make sure that I haven't left, and I'm like, I'm here, don't worry, everything's fine. Again, it's just like the kid getting the haircut. The kid's probably looking for his mommy. He's like, what's happening? I don't. And you're like, I'm here, everything's fine, just relax. We all have to do it at some point. Pretty soon, you'll get used to it, and this is something you'll do on your own, and you'll enjoy it. Yeah, Karen just sat there, and Karen was very nice. She was very, and it was funny then at the end, like, the stripper finished, and I come over, and I'm like, how was it? And the stripper's like, it was great. She was all for it, and Karen just goes, thank you. like Karen, like she was in like she'd been helped by a waiter or something. She's just like, thank you, I appreciate that. That was nice. And Karen got up and and then she kind of wobbled away. She's just kind of staggering and looking at me like, what just happened? I don't, she had like newborn colt legs, you know what I mean? Where she's just kind of wobbling back to the booth. And there's the other 3 strippers waiting for her. And Karen's just like, this is kind of overwhelming. 900 women all grabbing my wife going, hey, like, you know what? We could get a lap dance for you. What if you did all of us at once? And I'm going, that would be fantastic. Karen just kind of sitting there going, this is okay. Yeah, all right. But that's why it was so funny when she said I had stripper pussy hands, because because I smelled like licorice. And it's just like, but her mind would go to that, because this is years ago that we went. So the fact that was what would immediately come to her mind when my hands smelled like red licorice. Like, you just, what were you doing? But not mean, but halfway goofing because she knew it. But she must have been kidding. But it was just so, you have stripper pussy hands. No, it's beautiful. So red licorice is what my wife thinks strippers smell like. And they do, man, they do. They smell like candy. She's off in Philadelphia, and I'm telling her, I'm like, well, you should go out. You should go out and have some fun or whatever. And she was like, oh, I will. I'll go places. But I got to imagine her fun isn't like my fun would be. I'd find some horrible things to do out there. Although she, one time, because she's flying and she's traveling and all that, we flew home to Chicago a couple of years ago. This was funny. And my wife, for some reason, was going to bring a vibrator home with her. Okay? And she had a Rabbit vibrator. And if you know what the Rabbit is, it's like, it's fucking retarded huge. I mean, it looks like a chainsaw. I mean, it's just gigantic. So, this Rabbit was going to travel home with us. So we actually had to fly from Las Vegas. So we drove. We initially were going to fly from Los Angeles to Chicago, and then U.S. Air happened, and all of our flights were canceled, and there was 100 people in an airport. And it was a zoo. It was crazy. So what we decided to do then is drive to Vegas, and fly from Las Vegas to Chicago. So we drove to Vegas, and my wife was going to bring the Rabbit, but I think what she decided to do, I think she remembered the movie Fight Club. Remember in Fight Club when the guy was telling the story about how a vibrator will go off in luggage? And they'll think it's a bomb. So they inevitably have to pull the luggage and then pull the person off the plane and all that stuff. So my wife, to be safe, decided not to pack it. So it's like fine. So we check our luggage in Vegas, and we're walking, and she looks into her bag, and she has it in her carry-on. She's going to carry it on the plane so it doesn't alarm anybody in the luggage, I guess. And then it dawns on her as we take about 8 steps just before security, she's going to have to go through the x-ray machine with the Rabbit in her fucking bag. So she stops and she goes, oh. And I go, what's up? And she goes, oh no. And I go, what? And she goes, all right, I was bringing the Rabbit home. And it's in the bag, and I go, whoa, hold on a second. You're what? She goes, well, I was bringing the Rabbit on the trip. And I'm, why would you bring a vibrator home for Christmas? I mean, I'm with you. What is it? Am I that bad at it? Am I that far from doing the job that you got to bring home assistance now? Like, I mean, this was something you got for when I was on the road, I thought, unless I'm just getting replaced completely by this jackhammer in latex. And she's like, and I honestly, I don't remember I was like, why would you? It makes no sense. But the point is, we're having this argument now, and it's Christmas, so there's a million people in the airport. And she shows me her bag. She's got, and it's blue. Like we didn't get, luckily we didn't get because you know why? Because the flesh colored one was creepy to her. She was just like, nah, that's just, I don't even want that. That's crazy. It's got to look like it's from outer space. So I'm even going to be entertaining this notion. So we did. We got, it looked like it looked like a blueberry popsicle, like that crazy, like light sky, not sky blue. It was dark blue, not midnight blue. Folks, I don't know. You know what? It was like, I don't know. It was like a blue guy had a cock. That's what it looks like. Imagine one of the Blue Man Group had a cock. That's what it looked like. It's that color blue. It was Blue Man Group blue. And it's fucking huge, and it's just gigantic. And it's in her bag, and I look, and it's like, it's not like you can miss it. And it's shaped kind of like a gun. I mean, because the rabbit part is the trigger part and all that. So if it goes through security, we're getting stopped. There is no doubt we're getting stopped. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Like, we'll go put it back in the bag. She's like, they already checked the bags. And I didn't want to put it in the bag because, if it causes a noise, like, well, you take the batteries out. All you got to do is take the batteries out. It's not a problem. So, and she's smart. She knows that. It's just we were in a hurry because we missed the flight in L.A. and then we had to go to Vegas. So it was just kind of happenstance that, we packed in a day and left. So I'm sure that's what it was. She just got caught up doing it that way. Just threw it in her bag and forgot about it. Because that happens a lot when you're leaving the house. You just throw your vibrator in your bag and you forget about it. It's like whenever those guys get stopped at security with a handgun, and they go, oh man, I forgot it was in there. Really? You forgot you had a pistol in your suitcase? What are you, in the Wild West? You forgot you had a gun, idiot? Unbelievable to me. So my wife goes the same route with a vibrator. Because, again, that just happens. You're leaving the house, you grab your keys, you grab your cell phone, you grab your vibrator, and you split. I understand. And again, we had a long drive. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe she wanted to make sure she paid attention during a long drive. Because I've jerked off on the road trying to stay awake. I think we've all done that. When I was on the road for comedy, any comedian who tell you that he hasn't is a liar. Because you will do it when you're driving. You're just like, this will keep me awake, probably. And you just, do that for, 200 miles. And it keeps your attention. So maybe that was what her logic was. Maybe she's like, you know what? I'll go ahead and do that. So regardless, but the point is now we're 8 steps away from security. And we're approaching security in front of everybody. And it's Christmas, so there's extra security there. And there's all these guards. And we're approaching the X-ray. This is the problem. We were approaching it. We stopped and looked worried and had an animated conversation. So I got to think immediately we're on the no-fly list. Something's happening where they're looking at us and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and I'm telling her, I'm like, well, look, we just got to go. I mean, there's nothing you can do now unless we can go back and recheck it. She's like, I'm not going through security with this in the bag, because she was the one who pointed out that it would look like a gun. Like I didn't even think about it. I'm just like, I go, well, it'll be a little embarrassing. She goes, they're going to think it's a gun. And so then we're talking about it, and we're trying to stay quiet, because if you say the word gun like loudly in an airport, there's all those words that if you say them loudly enough, you're going to get tackled. You know what I mean? So if you say gun or rabbit, you're going to get nailed immediately. So we're just trying to keep it quiet. And then I'm like, take the batteries out. So I'm saying take the batteries out, which sounds like batteries, and it's hooked up, and there's like a shoe bomb, and it's just awful. So we got to figure out so I go, you know what? All right. Then she's like, I'm not bringing it through security. I said, all right, well then we got to get rid of it. She's like, all right. And I'm trying to think of, so I go, are there lockers here? And then like literally those words came out of my mouth. Is there a locker here at the airport that we can lock your vibrator up in and claim it on the way home? So I actually thought if there was a locker, I'm like, well, we can go and rent a locker and go ahead and put that in there. There's no locker. Because a guy would put a bomb in there, stupid. So we're walking and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. And finally we decide we have to throw it away. That's the only thing we can do. We have to just throw it away. And then part of me as a joke, I was like, well, why don't we hide it somewhere here in the airport and then see if it's here when we come back in 2 weeks? That would be like a fun little scavenger hunt. We could just go ahead and tuck it away behind something at the Coffee Bean. Or maybe go to the Wolfgang Puck and try to hide it behind some pizzas and see if it's here when we come back. And she's just staring at me. I'm like, all right, maybe that's not the plan. So, and also it's the Vegas airports. There's slot machines and stuff. So I thought, why don't we put it in the dish of a slot machine like somebody won it? So then it's like a super prize. Like somebody's like, oh, ding, ding, ding. Oh, wow. That seems weird, but okay, I'll take it. Fantastic. 3 cherries, bang, bang. Here you go, rabbit. And Karen was finally like, are you done? I'm like, yes, I'm finished. So now we have to go, and we're going to throw it away. But we don't want to just, like, because, again, it's crazy blue. Like, the second she pulls it out of her bag, it's going to be like Excalibur. Like, everyone's going to go, oh, my, oh, and they're going to get on one knee and bow. Because it's huge, and it's blue, it's crazy. It looks like a phaser of some sort. It just looks like a weapon. And a weapon of pleasure. And, so I say, well, let's go get, like, some napkins and wrap it in napkins and throw it away. Because also, it's not really hygienic. You don't want. I feel bad for that garbage man who goes over and he's like, it's bad enough he's sifting through garbage, but then all of a sudden he's like, oh, that's not good. But so we finally go get some napkins, and then we're rolling it up like a burrito, and it takes like 80 napkins because again, it's as big as a car. It's like a car vibrator that you just start and it drives into your vagina. I mean, it's huge. And we're wrapping it up, and it's just getting bigger and crazier. So then it's the size of a football or like a calzone. It's like a cock zone. That's what it is, a cock zone. And it's huge and it's shaped like that, but it's all wrapped up. And now we're going to throw that away. And then part of me thinks we got to hide even that from somebody because they're going to think we're dumping a baby in the garbage can. So I go, well, all right, you got to throw that away. She's like, no, you throw it away. And I go, well, then you got to look out because I was going to go ahead and keep an eye out. So nobody went ahead and said, what are those people putting in the garbage can? And so she goes and she's like, she's posted as a lookout. And then I tuck it under my arm and I immediately give a stiff arm to a couple of guys. I juke and I cut a few times and I dive over the pile for a touchdown because it's gigantic. And so finally I get over and I can't just throw something away with, because I'm very bad, even in like auditions, I'm bad at space work and I'm bad at business. I'm bad at pretending I'm on a phone. I'm pretending to eat or sewing. I always just look like a bear swatting a beehive, no matter what they ask me to do. So I'd come over with this thing and I, tiptoe over to the garbage can and I literally did this. I went to throw it away and I actually coughed. I was like, threw it away. What are you covering up? If anything, you drew attention to everybody going, hey, who's the guy with whooping cough over there throwing away a child's wading pool? Who's that? What did that guy just stuff in the garbage can that's going to explode and kill hundreds? Who's that guy with the flu who's up to no good? I coughed. Unbelievable. Throw it away. And it makes this huge clonk into the garbage can. I look at Karen, she just looks at me, and I'm like, yeah, no more. Let's not travel anymore with our sex toys. She's like, fantastic. That's a plan. I am down with that plan. Get on the plane and flew home. And I can only assume that trip was not nearly as exciting as it should have been for my wife. I don't know. She was going to stay at her mom's house. Who is it? Her mom used to be a nun. You really want your mom to find the 80-pound vibrator that you brought from California? She doesn't like me as it is. Now she thinks I'm getting replaced by a piece of plastic. Jesus Christ. It's funny. Karen's mom used to be a nun. She was a nun, and then she stopped being a nun and had kids. Didn't even know they could do that. I thought you became a nun and everything got sewn up or moved around or something. I don't know what happened. But, her mom jumped the fence, met her dad, and said, yep, this guy's more charming than God. Let's go. They don't listen to the podcast, by the way. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. That was funny. I think that actually made me laugh, and that would not go over well with them. Again, this might be the reason they don't like me. All right, so they don't dislike me. They like me. They're nice people. They've come around on me. I call them Mr. and Mrs. their last name. Which they can't, they wanted me to call them Mom. And I'm like, I got a Mom, please. The last thing I'm going to do is call you Mom. And it was funny. When I met Karen, her mom is a real domineering presence and personality. And I think this is the moment Karen fell in love with me, I think. I met her family for the first time at a picnic at her sister's house. And I got there and I couldn't believe her mom. Her mom would just sit there and order everybody to do everything. And by everybody, I mean Karen. Like she made Karen do everything for her brother and her two sisters and their kids. And like, Karen, get this, Karen, get that, Karen, do this, Karen, do that. And Karen would just do it. She was really nice. And Karen lived with her family when I met her. And she was very much the put upon daughter, in my opinion. And she would wind up doing everything. And not that everybody else didn't have their thing going on, but Karen seemed to get the brunt of it. And this is my first time meeting them. I'm there, and her mom is ordering everybody around. And by everybody, I mean Karen. So then at one point, her nephew has a plate of food, and he sits down, and she goes, Karen. I can't do. All right, yeah, she has a voice like that, but I'm not going to do it. She goes, Karen, Karen. All right, so she, again, they don't listen, so I don't think I'm in that much danger. Except if my wife hears this, she's going to punch me with a stripper pussy hand. So she's going to just get a handful of red licorice and punch me right in the face. So she, Karen's mom goes, Karen, can't you see that Kevin doesn't have a fork? Can't you see that? Get him a fork right now. He's eating. Can't you see that? And I'm standing there, and I looked over to her mom, and I went, hey, your legs aren't broke. Why don't you get him a fork? And it was that commercial where, again, my age group will realize there was a commercial about Merrill Lynch where like everybody shut up and leaned in. But it was the typical stereotypical, the sound of the record player skipping. Everybody froze because I was standing there and I looked at her and I just said, hey, your legs don't look broke. Why don't you get him a fork? And there was a beat and it was quiet and I just smirked because again, I'm a comedian. I can get away with this kind of thing. It's like, I can, hey, he's funny. He can say that. Ha ha. He's not a jerk, even though he is a jerk. But honestly, I was tired of seeing Karen get hammered. I mean, it was just, I couldn't believe it. She was there with me, spent some time with me, and so I guess in a roundabout way, it was selfish of me. I wanted her to spend time with me. Hey, get me a fork. We're dating. I need some silverware. Unfortunately, she had to pay attention to everybody else. The hell with that. Pay attention to me. This is about me. So I said that, and there was like everybody got quiet, and everybody looked at her mom, and her mom got like a slow like smile on her face, like, oh, like she realized, I guess, kind of, oh, okay, this dynamic has entered the equation, but smiled. And then her brother said, that's okay, I'll get him a fork. And Karen, I looked at her face and she looked like it looked like no one had ever stuck up for her in her life because she had this look on her face. And like I said, I fully believe that was the second she fell in love with me. Like, I think she was just like, yeah, that's it. I'm on board with this guy. I don't care if he's a jerk the rest of our lives. And I've tested that theory. Believe me, I've tested it. But I think she'll always just sit down and go, yeah, the fork. I remember that. That was great. That was when I really loved him, when he turned out to be really cool. Yeah, her mom was a nun. This is like the second girl I've dated. I guess Karen and I are more than dating at this point. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll give it a little more. We're having a trial marriage, and this is a trial 15-year relationship. We're seeing how it works. So actually, one of the first girls I ever dated, and dated isn't really the word. First girl I ever drooled all over as a kid had and it's funny, I think of this girl today because we went to Olive Garden for lunch, and we walked in and there was a girl sitting in the middle of the dining room, and I mean, all eyes went to this girl because she was just a battleship. I mean, she was just a big girl. She was about like 6 foot tall with a gigantic shelf and like a pretty face. Like if she would have had glasses, honestly, they would have had to hold me down and throw a blanket over her and sneak her out the back door because I may have just done anything I possibly could to get next to this girl because it's just me, man. Pretty face and glasses and big tits, forget about it. I'm in. So she just was sitting in the middle of the room and was statuesque. I mean, she was just big, a huge rack, and I saw her and I was like, whoa. And she looked like the first girl that I ever went. We didn't even go out. I mean, we went round and round for a while. Her name was Shauna Johnston, and it was funny because my brother and his friends they were teasing me. This is my freshman year, and she was a sophomore, and which of course that's a big coup for me. I'm like, all right, let's go, and my friends called her the Siberian Land Cruiser. That's what my brother and his friends, because she was like 6 foot tall and like big wide shoulders. And she had everything but a dick. I mean, that's basically it. But she was hot. I mean, I didn't care, and I dug her. And she was one of those girls. She was the girl like when you're 13 and you don't know what you're doing, like you wind up practicing. Like I went over to her babysitting she was babysitting one night, and I went over there, and it was that thing where you're just like all of a sudden we're just both naked in the kitchen. Like, I mean, and you're just like, she's on the countertop because I think that's what I'm supposed to do. And then I'm going to go down on her. I'm 13. I don't know how to do that. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm ready. I'm just going face first and seeing what happens. Let's go. And then she goes down on me, but she's not doing anything, and I don't know what she's supposed to be. We technically, again, it was like Christmas when you just open a toy and you don't know how it works, but you're playing with it anyway. You don't fucking care. Let's go. What's this, a truck? Let's just start rolling it around. I'm certain if sparks will shoot out of it. Something will fucking happen. Let's do it. I've never used this with somebody else before. Let's see how it works when we go together in tandem. Because she didn't want to have sex. Like, she didn't want to do that. So I'm sticking my dick anywhere else. You know what I mean? It's like, under the sink, in her ear. I didn't care. As long as it was somewhere kind of warm, I was on board. And these kids are like sleeping in the other room, and I, like I said, we're just going at it. I've got her on the countertop. Like, 9.5 weeks isn't even out yet, and yet that's my move. I'm 13. I got a chick on the kitchen countertop at a house she's babysitting at. Those people are going to make pasta on that countertop. Those people are making their children peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on that countertop, and I got her, bare ass up there with her feet on my shoulders, and I'm looking around for a map, going, all right, what do I do now? I don't know. But I'm ready to do it. Let's try it. So basically, since she doesn't know how to do that, and I don't know how to do that, and she doesn't want to fuck, she's just like, all right, well, let's just make out forever. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm on board. So when you're 13, that's great. So it's that like 3-hour marathon session, and periodically, like I said, she'd slide her mouth onto my dick, but not do anything. Like, she doesn't know what to do, and none of us know what to do at all. And literally, what we should have done is we could have turned on just Cinemax and said, "Oh, look, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Come on." But it's like I said, she's doing that, whatever. So, 3 hours, we start giving each other hickeys. And I mean not like just like, oh, here's a nice hickey for you. It's like, hey, I wonder if I could eat all the way through to the other side of your neck. Because you're 13 and she's 15, and we don't have any idea. We just know that it feels great. So I'm chewing on her neck, she's chewing on mine. I mean, we're going off. I'm chewing on her shoulders and this and her breasts, and it's like we're all over one another, just biting, because there's so much frustration from not being able to get off that we're just biting one another. We're just I imagine it to be like what monkeys do in the wild. When they don't know what to do and they can't have sex, so they're just like, fuck it, let's just keep biting one another until something happens. So I'm chewing on her, she's chewing on me, and we're going off. I mean, it is just like an hour of hickeys, like massive. And finally, we stop. We kind of get our breath after an hour of just relentless chewing. And I look at her, and she looks at me, and we look like we've been in an accident. I am so bruised up. I look like I was in a boxing match. I look like I look like Ray Boom Boom Mancini. That's what my neck looks like. Ray Boom Boom Mancini's face. It's all swollen and bruised. I mean, it is just crazy. And she looks like I've been strangling her for an hour. She's just complete. And we're just like, well, I mean, this feels great, but wow, all right, this isn't good. I mean, because it's like on her breasts and her shoulders. I mean, because we're completely naked in the kitchen still. Like, then we're in the yard. Then we went in the yard because we're like, hey, we shouldn't do this in the kitchen because the kids are here. Let's go in the backyard. I'm sure the neighbors won't mind two naked teenagers going at it by the tool shed. So we're just like, it was so funny. Like, when someone would babysit and you'd go to their house, it was like all of a sudden they owned the house. Like, you could do whatever you wanted. So we're naked in the yard chewing on one another. And by the time we finished, I swear to God, I looked like, remember when the guy pulls all his skin off in Poltergeist? That's what my neck looked like. Now, I was supposed to be home, my curfew, I was supposed to be home by 11. So, but my mom was out. I think I mentioned when my mom would get a call from Bob, you pretty much knew that you had carte blanche for the night. You could do whatever the hell you wanted because my mom was going to go get laid, and then we didn't have to be around. So, but the only thing I had to worry about was my brother Lenny. All he's got to do is cover for me when my mom calls, and then that's fine. So I'm supposed to be home by 11. So I'm with Shauna. We're going at it. We're naked. We're bruised. And literally, we looked like if the cops had come, we'd both been arrested. They would have gotten us both for assault. But Shauna and I went at it, and then I look at the clock, and it's 12:15. So I'm super late. So I have to get dressed, and I have to, we got to call over like 4 people to wedge my heart on into my pants, and I get dressed, and I have to run home because I'm on the other side of Route 53. It's like, I'm about a mile from where I live. So, 2 miles, not a mile. So I gotta get home. So I book and I run, and I get there, and I get home, and Lenny's like, "Where have you been?" And I think I've told you in another episode that my brother was notorious for selling me out. Lenny was a guy who would constantly, he had no concept of covering for your brother or, everything. The first thing out of his mouth one time, Mike knew, and then I got in trouble. So I get home about 12:40. And he goes, "You were supposed to be home at 11:30. I go, "I know, but Mom's not here." He goes, "Well, she's called twice." And I go, "Yeah, and you told her I was here, right?" And he goes, "No." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you weren't here, dude." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You ass. You know I'm out. What are you doing? You actually..." So he tells my mom that I'm not there. And then my mom, of course, being the good parent, is like, "Oh, well, I'm going to stay here and get laid. But when I get home tomorrow, you're in trouble." So he says, "Mom wants you to call when you get here." Because that's the worst. Because then it's like you can't, you have to call. I mean, because, but I didn't. I didn't call. I just decided, you know what? I'm late. She knows I'm late. She doesn't have to know how late I was. I go, "When did she last call?" He goes, "She called like 15 minutes ago, which is about 12:25. And I go, "Great. I got home at 12:30. As far as you know, she knows that. I know that. Everything's fine. And I'm not going to call her." And I figure I'm going to get in trouble for being late. No big deal. So I get up the next morning, and my mom is there, and I come downstairs, and she's like, "What the fuck happened last night?" And I go, "Well, I'm sorry, Ma, I was late." And she goes, "Uh-huh." And I go, "I know. I got home at 12:30, and I was supposed to call you. I'm so sorry that I didn't call you. But I apologize, and I go, I know." And she goes, "It's not what I'm talking about. What the fuck happened to you last night?" I go, "Nothing. I went out, and then I was out with Mike Scott." No, I wasn't. And then I came home. She goes, "You look in a mirror this morning?" And I go, "No." She goes, "Go look in a fucking mirror and then come back here and tell me what happened last night." I go in the bathroom, and it looks like I was at Abu Ghraib. I mean, it is crazy. It looks like I was in a car accident, and I flew out of the car and skidded on my neck for 50 yards on the asphalt. I have black and blue, like you've seen hickeys. These were bordering on lesions. These were just, I mean, because I'm going to tell you a little tale out of school here. I like getting bitten, so I was into it even at 13. So and she was as well, and she was all for it and Shauna, again, big girl, big jaw. I mean, she had just unhinged it and she actually had a second jaw, like the alien. Like she was biting me with one jaw, and then the alien jaw shot out and started biting me as well. And I was all for it. I didn't care. You could have tied me down in the yard and had like 9 people come by and bite me, and I would have been all over it. So she's chewing on me like a dog toy, and I was like, "Yes, keep going. You can't bite me hard enough." And I look at myself in the mirror, and it is crazy. It looks like I tried to hang myself, didn't die, but hung there in the noose for about 6 hours. It's just black and blue from my earlobes down to my shoulders, all the way around my neck. And I come walking out of the bathroom, and she's like, "Tell me again you were with Mike last night." And I was like, "No, I was out." And then when you're 13, unfortunately, my mom is like, who is this girl? Who is this girl? And I go, "You don't know her. She's Shauna, She's like, "I want her fucking phone number right now." I go, "Ma, no, I don't have her phone number. We just started dating, and I haven't, written, anything." And she's like, "I want that girl's fucking phone number. I want her last name right now because I don't know what she did to you. I don't know why you allowed it." And I'm like, "What, Ma? It was nothing. We were just, And she's like, "What else did you do with this girl?" I go, "Nothing." And part of me wanted to go, nothing. That's why my neck looks like this. Because we were like a couple of snapping turtles who couldn't get out of the shell. And all we had to work with was our mouth. So we went bananas. And my mom is just like, I want that phone number. And I'm like, Ma, I don't have her phone number. I'll get it. I'll get it Monday at school. She's like, you fucking better. So Shauna's dad was a preacher. And Shauna didn't really have as much of a problem giving up my phone number as I did giving up hers. Within a half an hour, bring, phone rings at my house. It's Shauna's dad. Wants to talk to my dad. Well, since my dad's a drunk who's in the ground, he's not going to be chatting with you. But here we go. Let's get my mom, who's going to be a lot more fun to talk to anyway. I'm sure my dad would have been like, who cares? It's fucking hickeys. Big deal. And then he would have pulled some early times out of the linen closet and passed out. My mom, however, is just spoiling for a fight. So she picks up the phone, and I hear her going at it with this guy because he's calling about what his daughter looks like. Like, he can't believe it, and he can't believe it. What did your son do to my daughter? And my mom goes, hey. I hear my mom. She just goes, hello? Uh-huh. Yeah, this is Pat Schmidt. Uh-huh. Yeah. No. Hey. No. What did your daughter do to my fucking son? That's what I heard. Because I know exactly I know he said, what did your son do to my daughter? My mom went, what did your daughter do to my fucking son? You know, he's sitting here now. He looks like he was in a goddamn fucking brawl last night. What the fuck happened? And my mom's swearing. And again, this guy's a preacher. So he's got a violated daughter that he's staring at. And meanwhile, he's talking to this maniac on the phone. I'm sure he expected some demure person or, even my dad. But my mom is going bananas. Because she all of the anger she has at me is now getting vented right now at fucking Preacher Jones, and he's eating it. He's just he's like, well, I picture him finally just getting shouted down and going, well, yes ma'am, because my mom is relentless. And hey, you know what? Maybe I bring my son over there and show you what he fucking looks like. Maybe I take a fucking picture and I mail it to you. Is that what you want to see? You want to see what he looks like? This is unbelievable. So. Shauna and I didn't date much after that. As if we were dating anyway. But yeah, so it was funny seeing that girl today at the Olive Garden brought all that back where I was like, oh yeah, hey, I remember Shauna. God, I wonder whatever happened to her. I hope she healed. Because I was chewing her like a pack of gum. I went off. She might still have teeth marks in her. It was crazy. I mean, we were just that teen sexual frustration you're working out, through your jaw because you can't use any other part of your body. And this is on a Friday. So then, and again, I'm crazy bruised, like black and blue. So I got to go to school Monday. So I show up for school Monday. And like I told you, my brother and his friends are, they're all making fun of me because, I'm dating Shauna anyway. They think it's hilarious. And, but who fucking cares? Look what I did this weekend. You sat at home and took phone calls from mom, prick. I was off getting assaulted while you sat at home and watched Fridays. Talked to my mom on the phone and shepherded where, and blew my cover, you dick. Make fun of me all you want. I had a better weekend. But that's the older guys. That's like Lenny and his friends. My friends are all like, I might as well have been Anthony Michael Hall in 16 Candles. I walk in and they're just like, yeah! Because again, it's me and plus it's a sophomore. It didn't matter to them. You know what I mean? You're getting laid. You're 13 years old and you're quote unquote getting laid. I could have been banging my cousin. They would have been like, yeah, dude! That's great news! But yeah, I went to school and it was like, and I half expected a teacher to come over and just go, is everything all right at home? Because I had been hammered. It was crazy. And Shauna came to school too, and she wore a turtleneck. She was smart. I didn't care. I wore a tank top. What the fuck? Look at this. Look what I did this weekend, everybody. And she actually wound up moving because this was in May of my freshman year, and then she went to camp for the summer, and then she wasn't back after the summer. Like their family moved to Virginia, which is where preacher dads take their nasty daughters. I picture Virginia. Every house is just a religious father and a daughter who can't wait to fuck the first guy who comes to the door. So suck on that, Virginia. I've only been there once, but that's the impression I get of your state. I was in, where was I at? Richmond. I did the Funny Bone in Richmond. That was great. I had a great week that week. I should have gone door to door because I probably would have got laid. Because it was just it's a bunch of preachers with their daughters under lock and key. And they're just waiting for a mailman to make his way. Special delivery. Get in here. Yeah, so that was the first actual real crazy sexual nonsense that occurred. I don't know why. You're not asking. Who cares? Who cares? It might not have been the first. Hey, I was 8 years old. I got laid. Suck on that. All right, so. Hey, I got to tell you guys this. Well, first of all, you can write me at mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Go ahead and write me there, please. And or go to myspace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy and send me a comment, or go ahead and leave a comment or write me a message. And enjoy it. Mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com, myspace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy, and visit me in those places. Go ahead and subscribe in iTunes if you haven't already, or go ahead and get the feed through SwitchPod, which you probably do if you are listening to this right now. I'm dumb. And the show, if you don't have any of those machines, why am I telling you this? Who cares? All right, so also I want to tell you I was on Paul Goebel's podcast last week, the Paul Goebel Show, with the very funny Paul Goebel and Jim Bruce. They had me on, and I'm doing Goebel's show. All right, I got to tell you this. I'm doing Goebel's show, and I'm a little free with the language. Not going to lie with you folks. I've been known to maybe curse every now and then, if that's the way you want to call it. I swear sometimes. And so we're talking, and I don't know, I think we were talking about banging a chick or something, and then I said fuck like 9 times. Who knows? I'm not good for that. So there's an explicit tag on this show for a reason. Not just for the fact that apparently me and another girl turned each other into skeletons one night as we chewed the skin off each other's body. But I'm at Goebel's house, and we're talking, and we're doing the podcast, and in the middle of it, his daughter walks out of the back room, and she's like, hey, it was Daddy, she had a question about what was going on. And he's like, oh, hold on, sweetheart. I don't know if he left it in the show, but she walks out, and I just hear her voice behind me. I didn't even turn around. I just put my head in my hands. And I go, seriously, Gracie's here? And he goes, yeah. Well, you didn't know my kids were here? No, I didn't know your kids were here. I didn't, you know why? Because you've got them in the back room. I didn't take a walkthrough of your entire house to find out that your kids were here. How horrible is that for them that they're wedged into a back bedroom while Daddy and his 2 jackass friends talking to a matchstick microphone about Tropic Thunder? Let's play ball with your kids if I'm going to come over, okay? I mean, or at least have them on the show, or at least maybe we warn me so I don't talk about, I don't use the terms asshat and fuckstick with them so close. Terrible. I just unbelievable. Who does that? You know what I even picture? I picture them, they're not even in a room. I picture they're in a giant chest of drawers. He just opened them and said, all right, you guys lay down in here. We'll be in to get you in a couple hours. Come on. Let him out. See, this is why I choose to have friends with no kids to record in their homes. So I can swear and talk about nonsense. All right. So, but go get the Paul Goebel Show episode that I'm on. We had a lot of fun, and I appreciate them guys. Oh, God, I'm from Chicago. And so that was great. So, again, Mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com, MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. And also, don't forget to get the Paul Goebel Show that I was a part of. And also, September 5th, please remember, I will plug that now, and I'll plug it again next week at the UCB Theater. ComedyFilmNerds.com is doing a comedy show. I don't know if we're talking just about movies and stuff, but I'll be there being funny. It'll be me and Chris Mancini and Graham Elwood and Chris Hardwick and Jackie Cation. And there's another very funny person, Maria Bamford, will be there. So come out to the show on September 5th at the UCB Theater. Should be a lot of fun. And and don't forget to buy Season 1 of Never Not Funny. That is available through the store link on my website. And buy them. Christmas is coming up. So I think what you should do is go ahead and buy the Season 1 of Never Not Funny. And I guess you could buy Season 2 and 3. I don't know if are they available? They might be available for those guys. But buy Season 1. That's the really important one because that's the one that I get paid for. So by all means, go ahead and buy Season 1. And yeah, so now I'm going to go ahead and go to the airport, folks. I think I'm going to go a little early. It's only 5 hours early, but I'll go there. I'll sleep out. I'll get ready. I'll get excited, and I guess I can't wait because I got nothing, and I'm trying to clean up now. It's funny because normally I'm a neat guy. I'm a guy who actually takes because just for my own sanity, because I know I'm a kind of guy who can slip into letting things accumulate. I haven't made the bed at all since my wife's been gone, which is weird because but it's because I'm in this weird graveyard mode again where I crawl into bed at 6 in the morning and then I just crawl out at 1. And by that time I'm like, I don't even want to waste any time making the bed. I got to go ahead and get ready for the day that I've pissed away by sleeping until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's just, and then, but I don't even know why, but there's no reason to get up because my wife's not here. Why would I get up? You know why I get up? Because maybe she called. Oh my God, what if she called? Wouldn't that be great? Because then I could hear her voice. Folks, I am pathetic. I have nothing. I have nothing going on. You would think that I would have done something good in the time that she's been gone. I'm doing laundry at Lily's house today, trying to catch up because it's like I don't want to. Because at my house, in my apartment, they got two washers, 2 dryers, and for some reason, there's one person in my building who I think is taking in wash from friends or neighbors or just the indigent. I don't know who she's doing clothes for, but she will bring like a shopping cart of clothes in there, and then you know that she's going to camp out, and you have no shot at doing clothes, but she's in there, stirring clothes in a kettle with a boat oar. You know what I mean? It's like Charlie's mom from Willy Wonka. She lives in my building, and she's taking in mountains of wash, and then you sit there and you're like, look, I got to have a clean shirt. Sorry, I have about 75 loads, and then you can go next. Well, thanks. That seems great. And you know what? It's $1.25 to wash, $75 to dry, so that's 2. So I got to figure, what could they be paying? Like, are they paying certain for a pound? Because I know they do laundry by the pound, and which is a great way, by the way, to pay for anything that isn't food. If you're buying anything by the pound, they should sell everything by the pound. Like, you should be able to go to a bookstore and buy books by the pound. It's funny. My buddy Dave and I wrote a sketch about that called "Books by the Pound," and just like that, to me, that's what it's like when you go to Walden Books and they have that cart outside with a bunch of books, and it's just like books for $1. Like, they don't even give a fuck what's in those books. Who walks up and just goes, you know what? I'm going to spend $5. I'm getting $5 worth of books, and they just grab 5 because there's nothing ever good on those racks. It's always like the history of gems. Nobody wants to know the history of gems. Certainly not worth $1 to me, quite frankly. Or it's like. I'm okay, you're fucked. Well, great, I'll pick up that book for $1. That's fantastic. I don't want to see those. But for some reason, they think that people are going to go ahead and buy books just for. Nobody wants to discount books. If you're buying a book, you're buying a specific book. Nobody's buying a book because it's cheap. Nobody's like, oh man, I would really love to read that. I'm going to wait till it goes down in price. No, people want to read information. Nobody's waiting for discount information because that information is flawed. Any book that's for free or any book that you're selling by the pound is not a book that anybody wants. You know what? If you're selling those books outside that are there and it's $1 a book is just to hold up a wobbly table at your house. That's it. That's the only reason you would spend $1 a book. $1 a book is to go ahead and get, oh, you know what? I need something heavy to hold down some papers at my house. It's a paperweight. It's a paperweight with words inside. That's what it is. That's right, folks. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jagoff. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jagoff. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just, I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished.